not on Instagram yet either.
I'm like, wait a second, I'm not ready this morning.
All right. We are on YouTube.
Let's get this.
I'm on my Instagram. I'm going to put my number because I forgot to do that. Bear with us, guys, if you're joining. So just hop on and we'll be getting the conversation going in a second.
We will be with you soon.
We'll be with you shortly. We need some hold music.
Right. It's taken me a second this morning for some reason.
Maybe it's the snow. The cold.
Maybe. My goodness. I'm a little off kilter this morning.
You admit you're getting pulled in multiple directions. So
you're right. I told you that, didn't I? I tried to share that with you. Holy smokes, I'm going all over the place.
Yeah, let me get shared over here on Facebook. Even I set it up. What's that?
I asked you for that information so that I could copy and paste it, but I can't copy and paste from my computer to my phone. I tried so hard, Stephanie.
No, this is your vulnerability, man. Like we're all oh, not perfect. So let me know when you're ready and I can get it for you again.
3, 4, 6. 2, 4, 8. 7, 7, 9, 9. With an ID of 8, 3, 5. 7, 4, 2. 2, 8, 9, 6. Coast and pin. There. Okay. I think we're okay now. I think.
It's all good. Just bear with us if you're joining us on any of the platforms. We're a 2-woman show, so
we're trying to get everything all set up.
We make it work.
We try.
Okay. Now we are.
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Everywhere. Let me just make sure that I'm over.
Even though comments, I'm going to need my reading glasses.
Okay. So last week we learned, for whatever reason, the comments weren't showing up. So we actually had a couple people commenting. So I apologize if that was you. And we're learning as we go. So welcome to Conversations for Clarity after 5 minutes of a little getting things figured out today.
On yours, that was on yours, right? That they were commenting and we missed it on your Facebook.
So I have that open and we'll refresh it more often. So I am Stephanie and I just thank you for coming every Wednesday to sit with us for an hour and just talk. Today's theme is human design and gene keys. So we'll kind of see what comes up. If you have specific questions around that, we'd love for you to join in the conversation. We have the call-in numbers on everywhere. I did good this time and got them out on all of them.
And we would have any questions about your charts, please feel free to give us a call or just type in a question.
It is our intention that we can really bring these conversations where you can start learning and diving into your own chart and understanding it that way. So, but in the meantime, if you're new, that's what we're here to talk about and to bring to light the goodies, the yumminess that's in human design and gene keys.
We do love
do our normal intros.
Oh, that's right. We didn't see.
Yeah.
I'm all flustered today. I'm Celeste, also known as Mothering Healing on Facebook and Instagram. And I am so delighted that you are joining us today. I absolutely love these conversations that we do once a week. They really have been, oh gosh, they've been surprising. They've been fun. They've been enlightening. Really has been a joy.
I was smiling because so we started also on Clubhouse, and I was participating in a room yesterday morning, just talking to some new friends, I'll just call them, and I brought up conversations for clarity because we had this idea months and months and months ago just to start having a conversation about, conversations about life. And that's what it felt like. I was in this room. We were just talking about just random things. And I'm like, God, it's so nice to like have what I felt in there was like there's no strings attached, because I feel like over the last few years prior to COVID, digital marketing, online marketing got into this whole mode of selling,
Sell.
sell, and hey, wait, there's more. Hey, wait, there's more, and we get caught up in these webinars and all of this stuff. And the whole intention of what we created here is playing out in all aspects of what we're creating together, because it's not sell. It's let's talk. And if there's opportunities for us to dive in deeper, then of course we're here to provide that service. But really, like, we just want to talk about it and bring awareness. So that is where.
It's like having coffee with some of your best friends.
Yes.
Just talking about what's going on.
Exactly. So if you're feeling it, we would love to have you join our coffee session. Call in, and you can call in anonymously. You won't be on video, so that can take away any pressures there. And we just would love to just chit chat. And if you have something that's on your heart that you want to talk about that is not gene key or human design related, we want to also have a loose flow with this, that if there is something that that is just on your heart and you want to maybe chat about it or get some insight, then
Exactly. I mean, we both decided when we started this journey that we were doing this for you guys. We're doing this to be here for you guys, to have a platform that you can talk about whatever you feel you need to talk about.
yeah, and that you're not alone, because especially over the last year, some people have felt alone, and you're not alone. So we are happy to talk about everything and anything with you. So, yay.
So what do we want to talk about today?
Oh, well, let's see. Maybe we do just talk. So we recorded an episode that will be dropping in a couple weeks on our podcast around parenting and human design, and just learning the types, the one thing on your chart for your children, and being able to open up communication. And maybe we just start there. And, because I know when we were in Clubhouse, one of that was a topic of conversation that I really, in my heart, it's changed my interactions with my family. And if you're just open to learning something new about your children and how they operate, this one thing will change that dynamic.
Yes, absolutely. And it was a great conversation. And I do find more and more that, especially with all this homeschooling that started, that parents just want to know how to better understand their kids, and they can't follow the old school diagram. They can't follow that type of routine, especially when they're home trying to juggle everything. So it's allowed a lot of parents to see that, wow, maybe my children do need a little different attention, or TLC, or a different perspective in how they learn and how they take in information. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, it has been. And it's one simple thing of just learning the types. So just real quick, we've talked about it a lot, but the types are generator, and in generators are the manifesting generators that are grouped together. And then we have the projectors, the reflectors, and manifestors. And just learning that type. So if you go to jovianarchive.com and put in your children's birth information, I love what Christina brought into our podcast. So you'll get a kind of repeat of that, but it doesn't change. Your type, there's things within your design, like the gates can be activated at different times throughout your life, but the type, your strategy, that stuff does not change throughout your whole life. So if you have young children, and you want to just learn one thing and not go into the deep depths of human design, just see what their type is. And just really that is one way that you can communicate with them. So let's kind of just talk through real quick. I do have Eva Maria. She had commented last week. She was one of the ones that was commenting, but she sent me her chart. Let me see. We'll have mine. So she's listening in. It looks like if you have specific questions, Eva Maria, then you can ask them. But let's go through the types real quick from a child perspective, and then I'll pull up your chart and I'll see what pops on your specific chart. We can have a little bit of fun with that. So how does that sound to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, if we start with, most of your school classroom is going to be those generators and manifesting generators, because they make up 33 and 37% of society. So a huge piece of your class is probably going to be that category. And these children they're very efficient, especially manifesting generators. They are very efficient and they are very independent. And you really want to ask them questions that are yes or no questions. When we ask them yes and no questions, they get that sacral response and they can answer you right away in the moment with what is appropriate for them, or appropriate answer that they should be answering. You also want to, manifesting generators, you want to allow them the opportunity to make mistakes. You want to let them know that it's okay to make mistakes, because they are meant to be dabbling in, like, they might have like 4 or 5 different hobbies and things that they like all at once. So you don't want to discourage them, because they're going to make mistakes. For them, it's about the experience. So it's important that they don't be put down when they don't get something exactly the way we think it should be. And then the generators and manifesting generators, they need to be able to do what lights them up. They need to do things that bring them joy. And not all school subjects are going to do that. So if you can either find a way to make it fun, like if they don't like math, find a way to turn it into a game and bring some kind of joy into it, it will be easier for them. But those projects that do bring them joy and light them up, they will be amazing at. You know what I mean? They will just fully succeed at them. They do tend to hit a plateau. So when they have something that lights them up, they're doing it, and then all of a sudden they tend to hit a plateau, and a lot of times they'll fall off. It's great if we can encourage them to push through that plateau and still keep going, and then they will experience that joy of the completion and at the end of it. And help them. They're going to need physical activity. So ask them, when you start feeling antsy, or where you start feeling like, I used to ask my kindergartners, when you start getting the squirmies, what do you need? What do you need in that moment when you just can't focus and you can't concentrate on what you're doing? What is going to help you? Ask them, because they know when they have such valuable information, and then let them do it. It might be go run around for a little bit in the yard. It might be do some jumping jacks. Whatever they need, just allow them that time to get rid of some of that energy.
Yeah, and the other thing that's popping up that is the non-self theme of frustration. So your generator child, just be aware when they get into a space of frustration, where maybe they're not good enough, or that like just that and just be aware of it. And so then you can just talk to them about just taking a break, pivoting, something else, go take that run around, like you were saying, like when you're feeling that, you just need to go take that break. But witness and if you're a generator too, watch when you get into that space of frustration while you're interacting with your children. Just means that you're not in alignment. Do it without judgment. You're not judging yourself that, oh, I'm frustrated again. Just means that you're not in alignment. It's just time to shift, just to shift mode, shift something, and then you can come back to it.
Absolutely. Yes. And then a manifestor child. If you have a manifestor child, these children are like 8%, right around 8% of society. So 1 and 8. So if you have a manifestor child in your classroom, these are children that are very independent and very capable, but they need to be able to do things their way. They need the freedom to be able to get things done the way they want to get it done. And you also want to teach them to inform you about what they're going to do, because the more they learn to inform about what they're going to do, then the more the energy exchange will feel correct for all parties. And you know, like generators, they go 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 go, but they have to learn to take breaks, because generators, we say, have all of this energy. They're like the Energizer bunnies because they have this endless amount of energy, but they're like energy for a marathon. Generators can go and go and go and go. Manifestors have this energy, but they're more like sprinters. It's only short bursts. So they have to learn to take breaks or they're going to burn themselves out. And they many times don't realize it, especially when they're surrounded by all these beautiful generators that have this wonderful energy that just wants to keep going nonstop.
That's a good, and perfect one is they're like set up stations for them, you know, set up things for them to just move around, because they like to sample and move around and do different things for what life.
Yes. Let's see what next. Oh, projectors. Projectors are beautiful guides. We call them our guides of society. They need to be recognized. When projectors are the children that when you don't recognize them, they tend to have a lot of like blurt outs. They're the ones that are like trying to get attention, and they're like blurting out answers and blurting out, you know, just statements. And it's all about getting attention because it's important for them to feel recognized. So if you have a projector, find a way to include them in conversations and ask them their opinion about things. Because if you can teach them how it feels when you ask them a question and you invite them to give their opinion or what ideas that they want to bring, then they feel how good that is. And then they learn to wait. They learn to wait until they're recognized, because it feels so much better. It's such a more powerful connection. And the information that they give is so valuable. But if they're just blurting it out all the time, everybody gets annoyed. You know, we all had that one kid in the classroom, we call him the teacher's pet. You know, the teacher would ask a question and they would like blurt out the answer right away. Or they would like, the teacher would ask for a volunteer and they would be like, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. You know, I'll do, you know, they were probably projectors a lot of times because they want that attention. And it's not their fault. I mean, it's just because they have such valuable information that they want to share with everyone. And until they learn how that feels when they get invited, then they tend to just let it out. They don't know what else to do with it. They get bitter. They get bitter because nobody's seeing them. Nobody's paying attention to them.
So there's the non-self theme for projectors. And I forgot to mention on the manifestors is typically anger, feeling angry that you're not being seen.
Yes. You got a little dancer back there giving us a showing off his moves. Oh, yeah.
I'm recording. Go ahead, a little piece, please. Okay, sillies. And then the reflectors. The reflectors are the rare that you might not have a reflector, or it takes time to get to know a reflector through life. And they just like the chameleon.
Yeah, they tend to be a chameleon because they take on everyone's energy, and especially when they're young children, because they don't realize it and they don't know what's happening. And it's not, you know, unlike everyone else, like all the other types, you interact when you're in each other's auras. You activate certain channels and gates. Reflectors take on the information and the energy of others, even through a computer, even by sitting here talking with people. So as children, they don't understand what's going on. They pick up all of these emotions, all of these feelings, and reflectors are about the whole collective. So these children probably talk in broad terms. It's probably unusual for them to talk about I. You know what I mean? It's more about, why isn't the class doing this? Or why can't we go on this, like the whole group? But they tend to be chameleons because they take on that energy and they kind of change and form to whatever group they're with is doing, and they tend to act like them. So they also need space. They need time to be alone. Being a reflector myself, I know I was almost never home. The second I woke up and I ate, I was gone. I was outside in the wilderness, just out with nature. And I wouldn't come home until the streetlights came on at night. I would come home, get lunch, gone again. I would come home, have dinner, gone again. And when the streetlights came on, I would go home.
That's awesome. So that's just, very touching the surface of understanding and seeing, and it's just like what the uniqueness of each of us. And like, especially in our school system, and I have my kids in public school, but there is a systemized approach of learning, right? Especially that we have the benchmarks, we have these standardized testing, we have all of these things that we're asking our kids to be at the same level on, these core competencies. And so, you still will work within those systems, like I've learned to, especially with my kids learning it remotely at home with me this year, of just seeing where their expertise is and what lights them up, them being both manifesting generators. I know what they love, and I give them the space to really excel in those. And then I could see, yesterday they were doing Samelia was doing a math project, and it was about fractions and stuff. And she looked at it and she was like, I don't get this. And so I came in and she came up and grabbed me, Mom, can you help me with my math and stuff? So I went down there and I instantly could see why she didn't get it. It was very like serious and surface level. Like, she's learning about fractions and she's like, this is just, I just don't get it. Well, the activity itself was actually cutting up a circle into fractions and putting the pieces together. And so as soon as I allowed her to cut and just get into that creative space, and then she's like, oh, I get this. Oh, I understand what the common denominator is. But it was like, just in an instant was like frustration. I don't like this. It doesn't fit in my little mold of what I want, how I want to learn. And so then it was just like, okay. And I didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but looking back, being able to be like, oh yeah, we found a way for her to get into her creativeness, and learn.
Isn't it magical to find those connections?
So cool. It was so cool.
Love it.
Yeah, we actually have Eva Maria's getting, so I'm gonna let her on here. Let's see if we can make sure that my phone doesn't get on.
I have one that we used to say is a nervous talker. But come to find out, he's a self-projected projector. And they get, like you get your answers from your sacral, he gets his answers from hearing himself say the words.
Oh.
Keeps them in his head. They're just, you're in your mind and you spin a story. But once he speaks them and he hears the tone of his voice and hears the words coming out, then he either can buy into it or not. So he needs to talk.
That's so cool. See, just the little things. So Eva Maria, are you on? Can you hear us? It doesn't show me I'm muting you or anything. Yeah. Oh, maybe I pushed that. I'll try that. I'm pushing to unmute you. See if that helps. There we go. I can hear you. I'm actually pulling up your chart right now too.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you guys?
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's so good to have
and
you.
I have the one with me, so you might hear her cooing.
Beautiful.
So precious. I was just pulling up yours. She was going to join us on Clubhouse, but she doesn't have the iPhone. So I said, join us today so we can talk a little bit about
Did you have a specific question for us today?
Well, I think it's just, I guess where to start with all of this. This is very new for me. And I've been doing some reading and just, I think, well, a little bit of me is taken back by how spot on a lot of it is. And then, but at the same time, and Stephanie, like I shared with you, it's a lot. It's, to work through and kind of see where do I take things from here? What, I guess building just a foundation for being a newbie, I will say, to this, and how to apply it and be able to move forward from it and just make some changes, some positive changes.
Those are some great perspectives and thoughts. I tell people all the time when they have sessions, the most important thing is that strategy and authority. When you're looking for a stepping off place to really dive into it and to help it change your life, that strategy and authority is the most important. And I know Stephanie said she brought up your chart.
Oh, your chart. So you are a generator with the emotional. So the type is generator. That's the sacral. So you have that yes, no, and you'll hear me talk about that a lot because I'm the generator, and that has been hands down life changing. She has the emotional inner. So there's a check-in, a double check is what I call it.
Yeah. So you're meant to respond to life. So you are meant to respond to life. You're not meant to initiate life like manifestors. You're meant to respond to what comes to you. And when generators come from a place of authenticity, from living their strategy and authority, they turn into these powerful, magical magnets that just attract so many wonderful opportunities and things that you then get to respond. Do I want this in my life right now? Is this correct for me right now? And that's listening to that sacral. But then you also have that emotional authority. So you want to learn to pay attention to the wave of your emotions. There's 3 different ones, and I'm not sure exactly what yours is, but they all kind of follow the same gist. And that's that you have highs and you have lows. It's a fact. There's nothing wrong with you. It is how you are designed. The beauty is that when you have your highs, that's when you have this fabulous energy and you're probably more creative and you feel like you get more things done. But if you stayed up there all the time, you would burn out. So you come down so that you have time to reflect and to recharge. When you come down, it's not because you're depressed. Society has told many people that, it's like, hey, what's the matter? 2 hours ago, you were flying all over the place and now you're curled up in a ball on the bed. What's wrong with you? You're depressed. What's going, you better see somebody. And that's not the case. You just need time to recharge and to reflect on everything that came to you while you were up in that high, to see if it fits in your life and if you want to continue with it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's really important to learn what your wave of emotion feels like, because you don't want to make any big decisions when you're on that high peak or that low peak. You want to kind of feel it out through all of the emotions and then make your decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely something I need to work on.
Yeah, and it's like the best way that I explain, because so my kids and my husband have the emotional, and so I've been really playing with it because mine is just sacral, yes, no, I know my answer, I go, and for me, what I've witnessed, and this might resonate with you, is as you start diving in and understanding your sacral, getting those yes nos, you'll get the yes, and then there also will be like a double opt-in with the emotions behind it. So for an example, I'll ask my husband a question and I'll ask a yes or no question, and sometimes I'll get this yes or like a hesitant no, and then like I know that that's a time that there's still just an emotional check-in that gets to occur, and sometimes it's immediate and sometimes it's a day. And that can be like where I'm just like, I just know my answer. Just tell me your answer. But I've learned to just ride that emotion and just say, it's not he'll say like a no, but I can tell if it's a no, like no. But if it's just that, I'll give him the space to get that emotional check-in that, okay, then now it's a yes. So that's been something that I've just kind of played with and really give. And so I guess my advice to you is give yourself that space that you don't have. It's not a full yes at the moment. You have that time to allow the emotions to just again, my sweet baby. Now she got a little one.
Do we know what the little one is?
No, I was going to look her up. She was born actually 11/11/20
Oh,
at 11:11 p.m.
what?
Let me look
Yeah.
her. Hold
I
on.
got goosebumps everywhere.
I know. Yeah, me too.
Wow, that is amazing.
Mhm.
2020 at 11:11 p.m.
That is amazing. Those are some crazy numbers right there.
It is.
Comfortable sharing what city online, or do you want to message it to me?
Oh, technically Clackamas, Oregon.
What was it?
Clackamas, Clackamas.
Clackamas.
Oh. Making me put in a name. Hold on. You don't need to tell me.
Well, yeah.
Let's see. Clackamas. Maybe I didn't spell Plackamas. AMAS. What's the
C
closest?
is in Charlie.
CL.
E. L.
Clackamas. Mm.
That is crazy.
Manifester
She's a
with the emotional authority at 2-4. Yeah, so she's meant to inform and lead. She's a leader. And I know even with older kids too, that would be fun to look at your older kids too. 11/11/11/11. Holy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, just take
Yeah.
a human design, everything out of it. This has been something that I've been contemplating as a mom, and you probably have, because that number, like, that's such a powerful number. But we really like, I'll just use, so my son, I was actually, and then my daughter, I was overdue, and you hear all that stuff. And so I ended up getting induced, but she ended up coming on time. But what I found, like my child, they came literally at the perfect time. Like, you cannot control like the birth time. I don't know. In some ways, like, the loudest can control it, but your daughter came in at this perfect time of 11/11. She's in that portal. There's just going to be so much beautiful energy around her, supporting her in her whole life. Like, that's so fascinating.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I know that she's been a huge blessing, and just yum. So yeah, she's a manifester. The
She's
inner
gonna want
authority,
to do things her way.
and where does the inner authority come in with the manifestors with the emotional?
It's their emotional solar plexus. They have to learn to follow that wave of emotion. Wave of emotion.
So at a shadow frequency, you guys might butt heads against that, because you're both be having the emotional wave and just learning to honor each other's waves.
Hmm.
She'll have that being a manifester. I'm sure she has a fine spleen.
That's the guy. No, she's open.
Oh, she's open. Oh, interesting. Wow. Mm.
Sacral obviously is open, and willpower and your G center is open. She's defined it.
Yep, she'll have to learn that emotional wave and what it means for her.
So from a mothering perspective, so you're the generator, you have that sacral, and the manifestors, I love to use my analogy of building the pyramid, that the manifestors are the ones that are leading the charge, informing the generators what to do. And so as her mother, you'll get to work with the conditioning that you may have received. I'm making some assumptions here, obviously, of you're the parent, she's the daughter. And so you get to work with that relationship where she's going to, throughout her life, inform you of what she's wanting to accomplish. And it might feel as a generator that she's telling you what to do. And all she's doing, and this is just coming to me intuitively, all she's doing is just informing you, this is what I'm doing. Not necessarily this is, and she's got a lot of individual circuitry. So meaning she's going to do what's right for her. So simply just informing you that that's what's right for her in this moment.
Mhm.
Within reason, you want to allow them to do that too. I mean, obviously, if she's saying, I'm going to go run in front of that car, to stop, but within reason, you really want to give manifestors that free reign of doing what feels right to them, because that's what keeps their creative energies flowing.
Mm.
She may have a messy room.
Sounds like my middle daughter.
Yeah, we'll have to peek at the other ones too, because
Tend to be
go ahead.
those people that you know what I mean, you walk in and you see an office and there's stuff everywhere, but you ask them for something and they grab it right away. They know exactly where it is.
Yes.
You know, and what's coming up for me, just as a parent myself, really the best thing that you can do is just start being aware of your reactions, aware of your patterns that you have. And if you just over the next month, just focus on that sacral yes, no. So catch yourself when you're asking yourself open-ended questions, or if people are asking you open-ended questions, and just turn them, even if it's in your head. It's easier to do it verbal when you're in the practice stage, but even if you're shifting those questions in your head to yes, no, and start, that's literally what you can do for the next month, is just focus on that yes and no. And then also the emotional wave of witnessing when you are on that high, and then when you come back down, and having compassion for yourself when you do come back down from that wave. And you'll notice, like, you know, with your parenting, as you're trusting yourself more and trusting your sacral more, communication between you and your children will expand and grow. And then you can, you know, then of course, like obviously all their charts, you can always send it to me and I can give you what's popping. But that's the thing that I would, you know, like Celeste was talking about in the very beginning, just focus on that strategy of waiting to respond. If it doesn't feel good to you in the moment, then don't do it. I always say, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no right now. And that's okay. Give yourself that, like the permission to say no to things. Because we typically we're programmed to be people pleasers because we've completely like forgotten about our own sacral authority, and it doesn't lie to us. That's been the most fascinating thing. It doesn't lie.
Beautiful.
So in moment, just be with that and be present, and you'll be saying no to things, which will that's been something I've experienced that I was surprised when I actually started saying no to things. I'm like, I've wanted to say no to this for a long time, but I didn't think I had the permission to do it. And now I do. And this is me, take it or leave it. And so that's, I think, the area that you can really start just playing around with. And the not self theme is frustration, of noticing when you get into that space of frustration, and just kind of check in where you're at that moment. Why am I feeling frustrated? What just happened? And how can I shift that into feeling more into alignment? Because you'll feel peace when you're in alignment rather than the frustrations.
Yes. So if you've just joined us, we are discussing human design and gene keys with our children, and just trying to discuss ways that we can back them up more, just really guide them to step into their guidance systems and do what is correct for them.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions, Eva Maria? What's coming up for you?
Hi, it's a lot. That really resonated with me, especially on the highs and the lows. I can really say that, especially recently, when I would have or now what I'm understanding is a low, I really am harder on myself, and I feel guilty about not getting things done. And my mind just spins, and it's, I guess, having a better understanding of what that really is. Because like Celeste mentioned, you know, it's not depression. especially postpartum. So everybody's like, oh, you know, you got the baby blues. And it's like, no, I don't really feel that way. I just, you know, and then I have my moments where I am up and able to get a lot done and feel that I'm making progress in my life. But then other times I just feel like I'm spinning the wheel. So that is huge for me. And it's just going to be, I think, really understanding how to move forward with all of that and being able to, I guess, really run with it. And like you said, Stephanie, the yes and the no, and being able to take that time and kind of, because I definitely see that in myself as well. So again, it's just, I think, learning more about this and how I can really just be true to who I am.
And
yeah, that emotional wave can be tricky. And when you learn to honor it, to just I mean, it is what it is. It's not going to go anywhere. There's no pill that's going to fix it and change it. It is what it is. And when you can learn to honor it and learn the pattern of it, then it really works beautifully for you. Just remember, reflect and recharge. That's what that downtime is for. It's a great time to journal and think about everything that just happened in the past day or two, or reflect and recharge.
Thank you. Yeah.
I was looking. One other thing that was popping for me, and I always talk about this, it's on your gene keys, and then we can probably wrap it up. But the evolution is part of our incarnation cross, and it doesn't matter where it's at, but that's like life lessons that we'll continually learn. And the reason why I like to look at that is because it gives you permission. It's something that you'll learn throughout your whole life. You'll learn this continuously. It'll be lessons that pop up. And so it just gives you permission to just accept this it's called your evolution in it. And that is the shadow of codependency. And that is a powerful key right there, because it's really think of codependency just in relationships, but also from a collective level, this codependency on religion, codependency on government, codependency on systems, like all this codependency. So this is a lesson that you'll continue to learn. But what's really, really beautiful about it, that is the gift that comes from this is sensitivity. And that sensitivity of really feeling into that, you know, like the stuff that works for all of us. That's, you know, being able to be interdependent, but also like knowing that we're all one. But you probably have experienced a lot of lessons in your life that's related to codependency, codependent relationships, relying on other people. And so my advice, like, just trust into yourself. And when that pops up where it's like, I'm feeling that codependent on it, you can just touch, and the gift is naturally within you. And it's a conscious gift of sensitivity and just understanding, no, I'm enough as I am. I can be one with myself, but there's also a beautiful underlying connection between all of us and all things. So that was the first thing that popped off when you sent me your charts last week. So hopefully that resonates.
Yeah, that's actually something that, you know, I thought a lot about. I wouldn't say that I'm codependent, and mentioning those other areas of codependency, but then in looking at it in a different perspective, and much of what you just talked about, it you know, it actually changes my mind of saying and being honest, and again true to myself, of saying, yeah, you know, I think so.
We want to deny it, but that's the beauty. The gifts emerge from the shadow, so there's nothing wrong with the shadow. And that's we've grown to like have judgments over, and there's a lot of shadow talk, you know, these days in the spiritual community. There's nothing wrong with it, but we tend to we want to deny what actually is happening within us. So I love that you just in just a few minutes ago, wait, maybe.
Yin and yang, we need both sides.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So true.
Well, I'm glad you called in. Is there anything else that you wanted to ask about? Anything else happened?
Not that it comes right to mind. Again, I know I'm just starting into this, and I'm sure I'll have more questions. I definitely, you want to probably take advantage of diving into it deeper with the two of you at some point. And so I guess not at this time. Again, it's a lot to kind of start with. So this is a good first step in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank
you so much for joining us and calling in and letting us check out your chart a little bit.
And give yourself yeah, well, as you're journeying in this, ask your sacral, can I learn more? And if you get the no, stop. And there's nothing more that you need to know right now, because there's a lot. And it's like, it can be overwhelming, but it's you'll receive the perfect bits of information when it's the right time.
I like that. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank
Well,
you.
if you guys have, thank you. If you guys have enjoyed this topic in this conversation today, and if it's piqued your interest at all and you want to know a little bit more about your chart, Stephanie and I have teamed up to do human design and gene key sessions together, and it has been amazing. It has been, I want to say surprising, but I mean, I think we're surprised every time we do one. But it's been very magical. It's been great to sit down with people and go over their charts, especially with both perspectives. We'll post a link if you're interested and would like to book a session with us in our different comments.
Wow. And the reason why we talk about parenting is because it is a personal passion of both of ours to create those, just start shifting how we interact with people. So some of the sessions we can just do a simple individual where we're looking at your chart, but we have done some incredible family dynamic sessions where we're looking at multiple charts and seeing how they interlay and interwork with each other. And it's just been so fascinating. Like Celeste was saying, just, what comes out. And it's also, I think, we found a way to simplify it too, where it's, yes, there's layers and there's so much stuff that you can go in. And I've seen, other people do different overlays of charts and stuff, but it's really just really trusting yourself and then how you interact with others and allowing other people to be themselves too. And they've been so fun. So yeah, they're live and they're going. And so, yes, we'll put the link in there and we invite you, if it resonates with you, to schedule a session. We would love to have one with you. Is there any other last minute thoughts on parenting? And you know what, actually, I'm going to put a call out there, and we did it on a podcast, so I might as well do it here. But if there's any teachers out there that want to play with us, that feel comfortable that this is something that they can infuse in their classroom, I know I think it's getting more accepted society level, but it's not invasive. But anyway, if there's any teacher that's like, oh my gosh, I want to do this with my kids, not do it, but just understand my kids. So you don't even need to say, hey, you're a manifestor, so I'm going to teach you this way. You say, you're a manifestor, so I understand why you're doing it this way. So how can I redirect or whatnot? So calling all the teachers that are
so empowering. Yeah, we are truly raising a new generation of children. We don't want them. I had this conversation with my youngest son a couple of months ago. The old paradigm, the old way of teaching kids, how to learn and how to think and how to operate, it's not the same today as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. These children are going to be forward thinkers. They are, they're going to create a whole different society. So the more we can empower them to be their authentic selves and to come from that place of authenticity, the better our society is going to be. So yes, we would love to play with any teachers that want to experiment.
Yeah, and another thing that's popping in is the bidirectional healing, like bi-generational healing. That as you're there's a lot of us, I'll say in my age group, we're waking up and saying, hey, you know what, there's things that I could be doing differently in my own life. My parents did the best that they could, and now I am doing the best that I can, but I can also learn. And so there's this healing that happens from your parents and all the way through to your children. And ancestral, like if you get into the ancestral healing, like imagine if we could let go of just these traumas and these ways of control is really the word that's coming up, that we've for decades and years of parenting. I mean, we've seen the evolution of parenting. I just saw a post the other day that was talking about spanking and how it's abuse to these innocent children. But we saw that progression happen over these times because people were willing to speak up and people were willing to say, hey, I want to do it differently. And we can do it differently, and we can interact with our children differently and still give them direction. I mean, we do have life experiences. Like you said, you're not going to allow your child to go run in front of the car.
Right.
But more autonomy to really be who they are and stop the conditioning and stop the, I mean, it's going to happen regardless. Let's be honest. They're going to still have their own. What?
No more raising robots.
Yes. Like embracing their authentic nature, letting them be themselves. Obviously it's a huge.
Letting them discover who that is instead of us deciding for them.
Yeah. Because, I want to share this story as we're wrapping this up. I had an amazing friend that when I was getting a massage with her, and she did intuitive massages. It was beautiful. And maybe I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. As I was doing my massage, we talked through some visualizations and stuff. And she had me visualize this little girl. Again, it was totally me, but she was just encouraging it. And this little girl was in this flowers of, first she went to the house and she's reading a book, and she's like, no, she doesn't want to read a book. She wants to get out, goes out in this field. She sets up a lemonade stand out in the middle of her town, and people come into the lemonade stand, they pay, and then she gives them a hug. And so it's not, she's not selling lemonade, she's selling these hugs. And after she hugs the person, they go off into their house. And she said, what do you see when they go into their house? And they said, their house literally lit up. And then, she's like, so what does this little girl see? And I'm like, she's jumping up and down, like clapping her hands, like all these things. She's just excited because these houses are just lighting up all across this little town that she was in. And she stopped right there, and she just like massage stopped everything. She's like, who is that little girl? And I just started bawling, and I'm like, that little girl is me. And there was, so much, like I was that little girl that was giving out hugs. And I was the little girl that was, friending everybody. And, to finally step into who I am, especially this year of acceptance and love and bringing my life's work of love. It just was such a beautiful experience. But with all that, like I'm parenting that inner child too, because there was parts of her that she didn't get to be herself. And so now that she's out now, it's, there's learning for all of us, because there's pieces of me where I thought were me, and I was like, oh, I've shed those. And that be scary, because there's expectations that others have on us and or that we've put on ourselves even. But just let your little child play and have fun, and just think of who he or she was, and just let her enjoy life. And yeah,
absolutely. So we're here every Wednesday at 12 Mountain Standard Time. And we're so happy that you join us, and hope that you will come back next week. Next week, we're discussing
the courtyard and the community.
Oh, yes. Courtyard and community. Awesome.
Yeah. If any of you guys are in the courtyard and you want to join us, and that's part of what we want to bring into there, is just raising awareness around, true collaboration, and yeah, fun stuff. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Have a great week.